Well, hi there folks, it's Matt Hasten here looking at this week's property market. Well, this week I want to dive into some of the conflicting headlines we're seeing in the media, which would be quite confusing from a consumer's perspective. Firstly, during the week, CoreLogic data was released suggesting that home values in Sydney, they were up by 0.5%. Now, this has spurred on some pretty positive headlines, particularly here in the AFR, suggesting that there's good house price growth and it's building up as sentiment improves. Within this article as well, there's an agent that works in the inner west region suggesting that there's even some FOMO creeping into the market. We haven't heard that so far this year. And the director of research at CoreLogic has suggested that despite a surging number of new properties coming onto the market, the auction clearance rate remained quite high, suggesting that there's still some momentum building up and growth for the Sydney and Melbourne property markets, which is very interesting. But then we cue to last weekend's auctions, where we saw the second largest number of properties going under the hammer so far this year, for an overall clearance rate sitting at just over 55%. Now that's according to SQM research. Now as a result of this, again in the AFR, a far more subdued headline came out suggesting that buyers are very flighty and there's caution which is cooling off the auction market. So it's very different sense of headline right there. And again, Tim Lawless, the director of research, was quoted in this particular article, but he had a very different view, suggesting that the auction clearance rate had been falling since the second week of February. And if this continued to occur, then it's unlikely that house price growth will continue. Mr. Lawless then doubled down, suggesting that if the auction clearance rate continues to fall, that it's going to absolutely halt the re-acceleration of house price growth. So it's very different, conflicting opinions there from Mr. Lawless in two very different articles. And you can understand why consumers reading both of these would be quite confused about what's happening in the property market. But folks, it doesn't stop there. The confusion spills over on what's happening with the cash rate. Everybody's an expert, everybody's got an opinion. When we're out and about in the market speaking with buyers or our sellers, everybody's telling us when the cash rate's going to be cut. Is it August? Is it September? CBA, they hold the view that the cash rate's going to be cut 3 times before the end of this year. Well, according to the chief economist over at KPMG, Mr. Brendan Ryan, he believes that the RBA is going to cut sooner and faster. And he's suggesting that next week there's going to be some data revealed that will suggest that the Australian economy is likely going backwards. He even suggests that we could be in a per capita recession or even a technical recession. However, then we spin over into the AFR and they've got a very different view, with the headline suggesting that with rising property prices, it's unlikely that the RBA is going to cut the cash rate. Even that the public shouldn't expect deep cuts in the cash rate, suggesting that with rising rents, building costs, and now insurance costs as well, that's going to maintain inflation at a higher level than the RBA would like to see. So what is going to unfold? Does anybody actually really know? Well, we can boil all of that down and let you know what is absolutely happening in the market, and we're going to call it as we see it. Now, if you're a seller, the market is evenly poised. As we've mentioned over the last several weeks, if you've got an A-grade property that is selling well, that is driving the market. That's probably why we're seeing marginal price growth through the month of February. But everything else is very evenly poised on the market. Sellers, you need to be very realistic. You can't be greedy. You need to listen to market feedback in order to get a property sold. And buyers, you can't be unreasonable either. You need to be open, transparent, let the agent know where your view on value is, and you'll get a deal done. It's very simple. It's not complicated. That's the message from us. So folks, that's what's going down in and around the market this week. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next week.